One of the biggest highlights of my bowling career came very early in my career when I appeared on the Bowling with the Champs in Milwaukee. I was on 14 shows, 13 that were part of the competition in the 4 seasons I made the Champs, and one special show with Nelson Burton Jr. that was a sort of a PR show for the Miller Open in Milwaukee. And I appeared in 1983-84, advancing to the quarterfinals where I lost to Dennis Yechter, who went on to win. In 1984-85, I won the Bowling with the Champs. In 1985-86, I lost in the first round to Tom Shem, who went on to win the Champs that year. And in 1986-87, I lost to Gary Darashevsky in the semifinals, and he went on to win. So in those 4 years, I either won or lost to the eventual winner. For those who don't know much about the Champs, it was arguably, and I certainly believe, the greatest tournament in the history of Wisconsin. Thousands of bowlers competed in it, thousands of men and hundreds of women, each year to get one of the coveted spots on TV. You had to bowl 3 8-game rounds of qualifying just to reach, for the men, the top 32 and the women the top 8, I believe. And then you had to win 5 3-game matches. It was a bracket round, bracket setup. 5 3-game matches for the men and obviously 3 for the women. The championship finals, the regular shows appeared every Sunday morning on WTMJ, which was the NBC affiliate, is the NBC affiliate, Channel 4 in Milwaukee. And the championship shows were the first 2 Saturday nights in June at 7 p.m. They were live in prime time on the NBC affiliate in Milwaukee, if you can believe that. That's how big bowling was in Milwaukee. It started in the early 60s and ended in the mid-90s. Like I said, I made this show 4 times in a row and before I went on the Pro Bowlers Tour. And then when I came back, before I failed to make it the one year I tried, and then I became the color analyst after Dennis Wright retired, a Hall of Famer, Wisconsin Hall of Famer Dennis Wright, and a USBC Open Championships Eagle winner. I succeeded Dennis as the color analyst for the last 5 years that WTMJ ran the Champs. And the longtime announcer who both Dennis and I worked with was Hank Stoddard, of course, one of the well-known sports anchors at WTMJ in Milwaukee for decades. Great guy. Some of my best highlights of my career are going to be in all these videos you're going to see here, and I hope you enjoy them. They were a lot of fun to compete in, big prize money, so much prestige. And the winners list is just a who's who of Wisconsin bowling history. So enjoy.
And he is a good bowler. Very good bowler. 21 years of age. He's done a lot of good things. He's had some television experience. Madison has a show similar to ours. And this past season, he's been the winner. So he's got some experience in front of the cameras.
Are you saying that Phil Frohna over here isn't serious?
Phil is serious, but I don't think about bowling. He seems to have a lot of fun out here. He's got a rather low average to qualify for our show, but I think it may be deceiving. He's got a good bowling ball.
All right, we'll find out what happens in game number 1 following these messages.
This show is my Bowling with the Champs debut in the fall of 1983. Bowled a great guy who was totally cool. Phil Frohna was his name. I don't believe I'd met him before this show. Had a great time bowling against him and chatting with him. And we didn't bowl the best, but back in these days, the lanes were not easy. They were definitely not walled. This was in the day of totally different rules about lane conditions, and the Champs adhered to those rules. And of course, bowling balls were a whole lot different in 1983. Using, at best during these years that I was on the show, yellow dots and the basic plain urethane balls of the era, hammers, U-dots, that sort of thing. So it was definitely a tough lane condition. And without a doubt, I was quite nervous, this being my debut. And I also wasn't anywhere near the polished bowler I eventually became. I had a lot of work to do. My spare game was particularly not very good. I could throw a lot of strikes in those days, but I certainly had a lot to learn about bowling. So hope you enjoy this first show. A little special couple people in the audience there that you'll see. My corner man is Terry Coolibert, a Wisconsin Hall of Famer who it was my doubles partner on the Kendor Fayball teams of that era. And then Brett Faulkner and John Witkowski, two of my teammates also on the Kendor Fayball team. We would go on in 1986 to win the USBC Open Championships Team Eagle. And had a great time bowling the show, and I hope you enjoy watching it.
He'd like to make it a double, and he does.
Oh, he really does. And
For a guy that's not serious, that's a pretty serious start.
well, he had 186 average last year. That's a little bit low for qualifying for our show. When you take into consideration, you go through 3 qualifying blocks, and you have to average well over 200 in all of them. And Jeff a little bit light in the dinner bucket.
Yep. It's only breakfast time or brunch, but he's got the dinner bucket. 4 pins up there. And at least a danger of back-to-back opens. Obviously, the spare can be made, but occasionally you see 1 or 2 of them still around after the ball's delivered. And you might this time.
Yeah, he went at it from the left side, almost got a break and having it come forward. There you see his corner man, Terry Coolibert. That's Jeff's corner man. Terry was on earlier in our show and lost the first round match. And Phil going for a big lead right out of the chute. May have it.
Oh, all but the 10 pin. 6 settled in the channel. So 29 in the first, probably 49 in the second for Phil. That's assuming he makes the corner pin. And Jeff's trying to get his first strike and has it now.
Oh, ripped a 5 out of there. Good ball. A yellow dot from the outside angle. A little bit harder shelled ball. When they move in, they'll go to a softer type substance ball. And there would be Philip's wife, Crystal.
Okay, in replay, we're going to show you. I think it's Phil getting to the foul line. Yep.
A little bit of a push away. Just 4 simple steps. Well behind the foul line. Good knee bend and pretty good leverage.
Yeah. I don't know whether they speeded it up a little bit or not right when he let it go, but it really seemed like he pulled up the arm. I'll watch him. He does, yeah.
He comes up with the body, and that's the result of it. Good ball. He did tell me about in qualifying. I said, how come you bowled so good? He said, well, in every each 3 sets, he started with about 540. He says it takes him 3 games to warm up. And you mentioned they had a lot of warm up today, so he might be right in stride.
Yeah, we had a little tape machine problem, so they did have lots of chance to get ready.
And Jeff struggling a bit. We mentioned he won Channel 21's show in Madison this past season. Just made it.
Yeah, gives Jeff Richgels 38 in the third and a spare in the fourth. But Phil has 69 in the third and a strike in the fourth. So that's a rather hefty early lead for Phil Frohna.
Phil going for a double to add to the lead. Not going to get back at all. Well, I'll tell you, it came back further than I figured, but the 2-4-5.
Same thing that Jeff just spared. See a fella around here this morning when he's gone to go bowl because, oh, pretty good mixing action there for Jeff Richgels.
2 pretty good light hits on the right lane. The left lane troublesome so far for Jeff Richgels, 21 years old, finishing his senior year, majoring, of course, in journalism. And as Hank said, he writes for the Capital Times, sports writer in Madison, does a lot of bowling coverage up there.
There's a mixed event going on here, a mixed bowling event, man and woman doubles competition, and fellow dropped by to see us just before we started the show. We hadn't seen him in a long time. He said, I just want to let you know I'm alive and well. Ron Wheeler from Delavan.
He looked very well, especially around the middle.
You said it. Oh, up high, and that is a split for Phil Frohna and an opening for Jeff Richgels. If he can get a double, he's right back in this first game.
Good turnaround, but did not finish.
No.
The ball was coming, and it just has that certain stop spot. The 2-pin, we see it often.
And one of our favorite bowlers I saw over there practicing for that mixed doubles as well, Vicky Vukovic, who was our first alternate among the women this year by 1 pin.
So about a 20-pin lead for Phil Frohna.
We had a lot of fun since the last time we taped the shows. We were at that Variety Club Kids Bowling for Kids dinner, and Vicky Vukovic was in the audience, and Pete Vukovic,
Oh, yeah,
the Brewers, was the guest speaker. I introduced Pete as Vicky's older brother.
And Vicky is the one with the good arm.
Yeah, right. There's Jeff on the right lane, and that 10 is still there, but it's gone now. Well, a 6-pin didn't do it. A 6-pin was leaning against it, but some other pin came across from the other side and took it out.
In the background, John Witkowski has been a winner on our show.
Yeah. John, incidentally, I see on the cover of the latest issue, or the latest issue as we're taping, of Milwaukee Kegler Bowling News, since he appeared on our show, won his first non-pro title.
All events champion last year for the state, and possibly another open for Phil.
The right lane's giving him a problem.
And the left lane is giving Jeff the problem, so it could alternate.
Well, yeah, we'll just have Phil bowl on the left lane and Jeff bowl on the right lane. And
this is makeable. He wants to be to the left of the head pin. The number 1 pin may have it. No, stayed there all the way, and another open frame and a chance for Jeff to get right back into this game.
They're breezing along here. We've already gone through 8 frames, 143 for Phil. Looked like he was going to have a much bigger game. Well, he's still got 2 frames left, but you see where he started with 2 strikes, and there's Jeff's score on the bottom of your screen. And
been light on this lane, Hank.
Not this time. Well, yeah, a little bit.
But better.
Yeah, more into the pocket, but the 6 didn't do anything with the 10. So he's got a chance here to live with a spare. He'll be just about
a half a mark, 5 pins if he spares his 10-pin. 300 game at age 16. Quite an athlete.
Wow, sanctioned?
Right at it, hard, converted. Working on 170. Phil, after a double start, a 10-pin and a strike, slowed down. Now working on a 180 game. So pretty close. Looked like Phil might get away to a big lead. Coming in, and
no 10.
Same hit, 10-pin. Pretty good ball, but couldn't get the action on the right side. This lane he's done well on. That was a good ball also, might have
7-pin wouldn't go down. And Phil's ready to fire at his corner pin. And has it.
Has it. Surprisingly enough, Jeff has picked the left lane to finish his first and third games on. He has not hit it well at all. And in contrast, he has hit this right lane pretty well. 5 steps and look out. Oh, that made it.
So going into the 10th, the difference of 6 pins in favor of Phil Frohna. But anybody's game.
Phil is a piano tuner. Calls himself a. He ain't heavy. He's my brother.
That's
Phil's brother.
Yeah.
And the 2-pin again, this time with a little one in the back. The 8-pin, called the railroad. Tough conversion. Jeff can double to win for sure.
Got the first one.
First strike on that lane.
Yeah.
And each time he's made just a slight adjustment. Very good bowler. Well, they all are good bowlers to make our show. How about this one? Good cover.
Indeed.
So now it would take a double by Jeff Richgels to win the first game. He trails by 4 pins.
Well, he's got the first one up there, so he just needs this next one.
Barring a very bad count by Phil.
And I'm sure he's aware of what he needs, and it's coming up, but yeah, he's got it.
Carried to right.
Yeah.
A light one, I should say, on the left lane. And that's going to be a winner with any kind of a count from Jeff. So kind of a comeback after 2 misses.
Yeah, indeed. Start the match with 2 misses, and your opponent starts with 2 strikes, and you come back and win. Of course, Phil played a role in that, where he had open there in the 8th frame, which didn't help. And it's a 177 game for Phil Frohna. And that one there will give Jeff Richgels a 184. So it's very close. 7 pins. The margin of difference after 1 game. Jeff Richgels shaking his head. He thinks he can do better in game 2, and we'll find out. Phil Frohna and Jeff Richgels this morning on Bowling with the Champs. Game 2 coming up in a few moments. Going into game number 2, only 7 pins separating the two bowlers this morning. A pair of first-timers on Bowling with the Champs. Jeff Richgels from Madison, Phil Frohna from Wauwatosa. And here's our leader, Jeff, who needed a double in the 10th frame of the first game in order to win it, and got it on this lane. But he didn't get it with the first ball of game number 2.
I don't know if you noticed, Hank, but he made one extreme move.
Moved inside.
Way inside. He's to the left of center. I don't know if, well, he was practicing in between the first game and this one. He didn't really bowl badly toward the end of the first game. But didn't think that was the scoring angle, so moved in and started with a baby split.
And an open. That's how he started the first game. In fact, he opened the first 2 frames the first game. But Phil Frohna isn't going to start the way he started game number 1. He had strikes in the first and second frames of game number 1. Here, chance for a spare, the best he can do.
4 strikes for Philip and 5 for Jeff. Phil's came, 3 of them came in the first 4 frames. Hank said he got off to a good start and then struggled a bit toward the end of game 1 and took care of that spare. So he picked 10 up and leading by a couple pins.
And we're going to, while we watch him bowl, Jeff Richgels, I think we're going to hear what Jeff had to say before the match started about the conditions. Wow, there he buried one.
Inside angle worked very well on that right lane. And Phil doesn't take much time, Hank. He gets up there, overturned that ball extremely, and absolutely got no finish on it. Rushed himself just a bit, but completely overturned the ball. If you had a replay of that, you can see what I mean.
I think we will see the replay, Dennis, and see if we can indeed see what you mean. No, we're not going to now. Say they don't want.
How about it? All right, nice conversion.
Spare conversion.
So Phil stays in the lead this game.
I think, remember I said Jeff was going to say something earlier? With any luck, he's going to do it now.
Good.
Okay, well, I was faced with a difficult choice here. I have a good shot with my urethane ball inside around 4th arrow and a good shot with my plastic ball outside the 1st arrow. And I'm going to start with my plastic ball outside the 1st arrow. My doubles partner told me to do that, Mr. Coolibert, who's my corner man, and see how it goes. If I have problems, I'll probably move inside and use my urethane ball. I look for a pretty high-scoring match.
Well, that's
everything was right except one thing. The high scoring hasn't come about yet.
Well, it still might happen.
That's
He's got
right.
a double going now, and he did do what he said he was going to do.
Right. Changed equipment and moved to the 4th arrow. And actually, he's hit the pocket 3 times, had the 4-5, and now working on a double. 5-step delivery, carries the ball very low, a little bit of a push away. May have a crack here. Oh, good ball.
He did have a crack at it, but he left the 4-pin.
Well, Phil would like a double right here.
And may have it.
Yeah, may have it is right, and a 4-pin also.
4-pin for Phil.
Both of them just about that high. So this game, Jeff, about a 2-pin lead, 1 mark difference in the match.
That's the second time he's missed that pin.
And surprising, he does not take much of an angle on the lane. Stayed on that left side. He's missed a 4-pin twice, and he also has missed the 2-pin. 3 simple spare misses for Jeff Richgels.
Well, he missed the 4-pin again in the first frame of this game, but he had the 5 with it. He actually didn't miss the 4 when the spare conversion. He made the 4, but he
missed the 5.
Yeah, he missed the 5 along with it.
So Phil back in the lead this game by 10 pins.
Up high, look out. That's why.
So now, or I shouldn't say now, but if he continues to struggle from the inside angle, does he go back outside for game 3?
Dennis, when you do that, well, obviously you got a dinner bucket. When you do what he did, miss that 4-pin, then you come up the next one with a bad ball. Sometimes I think, you know, missing a single pin can hurt your concentration on your next ball. You got to wipe that out, right? And,
I believe it.
well, good try, but he couldn't quite convert it. Because he came right up on the nose with that next ball.
It's similar to leaving a perfect-looking hit, leave an 8-pin or a 10-pin. You know, if it bothers you for 3-4 frames, it can throw your whole game out. Again, overturning the ball.
And an open for Phil Frohna, and we're going to hear what Phil had to say about the match prior to the start of it.
I'm going to use the outside line, and as the lanes begin to dry out, I'll be moving in a little bit. And what happens, happens.
And what's happening is not really too exciting so far, scoring-wise, but pretty even match.
Indeed.
And back in the pocket from the inside for Jeff Richgels of Madison.
Yeah, he has not had a spare this game through 6 frames. Am I right there? Yeah.
That's right.
3 strikes and 3 opens. Oh, I thought maybe Phil had one there too, but that 4-pin again, that's given a little problem on that lane the last 2 times.
And just about that high. Phil seems to be rushing himself just a little bit. Not that he's speeding, but he just doesn't set himself very long. There's his mother and dad. His mother
Getting a little chilly.
up.
They
Yeah,
opened the door
right.
here. That's why she's putting on her coat.
A wife, or husband on the father on the right, I should say, and a stepdaughter, very pretty lady way on the right, to the right of Phil's father.
Inside angle
and a double. And the
indeed.
lead this game to add to a bit from the first game. So 2 doubles from the inside. Right after I mentioned, will he change? Probably not. And again, we've got to get a shot of Phil's release. He is not releasing it like he did in practice, where he had a lot of finish on the ball.
Fellow with the beard back there. You recognize him? That's
Oh,
Bob.
Big Ron. Oh,
No,
no,
Bob Kulisewicz.
Kulisewicz.
Yeah, going to be on our show, I believe, next week.
Next week.
Well, can he make this washout? Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's the second time he's made that one. Made it in the 2nd frame. Now in the 7th. Just to stay alive. Well, he only trailing by about a mark and a half, 15 pins thereabouts. Jeff working on a double. That time he was left of his spot.
Oh,
And that might have been the reason for the 10-pin.
Yeah, 6 went into the channel. It looked like it might gonna lean back on the 10, but didn't hit it. And here's Phil.
He's struggling, really struggling.
And he had a strike in the 3rd frame, and since then he's been looking for that strike ball. In replay, a long way back and down low.
Yeah, he almost hugs the ground. Excellent follow through, good knee bend, and he gets the leverage right at the foul line.
While we're watching that, Phil Frohna
2 ways
picked
to
up his
get.
spare.
I was going to mention 2 ways to get that finish on the ball. One is hand position. One is leverage. Of course, another one might be equipment. Definitely is.
And there's another one. Blind luck. That's my
I was
favorite.
going to say, you're talking about us again. Well, there's Jeff. He's been in the pocket since the 5th frame, and actually almost every frame this game. So I guess he'll stay inside, and especially winning, better.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the 8
pin. He didn't need that. So let's bring you up to date in the scores. It's 144 through 8 frames for Jeff with a strike up in the 9th. 133 through 8 frames for Phil with a spare in the 9th if he can knock down this 8-pin. So Jeff, with a 7-pin lead after game number 1, has increased that to 18 pins going into the 10th frame. Although neither bowler piling up very impressive numbers, and I think it has taken among the men this year 600 every week to make it to the next round, and that may go by the boards today.
Possibly, yeah. John Witkowski, we talked about before, had 600 even. Everything's been over that. How about this? Yes, double, chance for 200. He's had enough strikes. That's his 3rd double.
He's had 6 strikes in this game, 1 spare. I think we're going to see that one again.
Now you're going to see the head pin do a lot of work. He has an effective bowling ball. That'll get a good piece of the number 1 pin and watch it come back. Boom, boom. Got 2 of them.
Fair amount of deflection there, though, more than I would have been expected.
Especially from the inside angle, but he does turn the ball with good leverage. Watch it right there.
Yeah, that's why I thought that.
And I was going to say, that looked good.
It sure did. It sure did, but he leaves a ringing 10-pin.
And he's going to win this game, add a little bit to his lead. Phil could get a double and stay within 10 this game. May make it. Good.
Oh, where you been, Phil? That's what he's been looking for.
The 2nd strike this game after 4 the first game, so strike production not real high.
The game is over for Jeff, and he has 193. Gives him 377. We still got a shot at a 600 from both bowlers.
Double? Got it.
Yeah. That's going to keep it close going into game 3, or closer than it looked like it might be.
Yeah, he'll drop about 10 pins, so he's within less than 2 mark difference, not much. And Jeff has been prone to some opens, so some easy single pin misses. Couple splits. Phil's had 3 washouts, made 2 of them, fortunately.
Well, he gets them all but one. He'll take that with the last ball of the 10th frame. Gives him 182. And unofficially 359, so we're looking at 18 pins. The margin of difference in favor of Jeff Richgels going into game number 3. Stick around. Figures to be an exciting finish. We'll have it for you right after this. Going into game number 3, Jeff Richgels has won both the first and second game, but the margin is only 18 pins. And of course, it's the total for the 3-game series that wins it. It isn't the best out of 3. So Phil Frohna still alive here on lanes 27 and 28 at red carpet Regency Lanes. And here's Phil, the man who trails. And his brother came over and said, yeah, he's starting to get a little heavy.
He told me he lost a lot of weight. He was much heavier a couple years ago. And whoa, what a break for Phil, right on the nose.
Got that shirt that says he ain't heavy, he's my brother. But he also told me, his brother did, that he felt that Phil was going to roll a good one this game. Well, that's the way to start.
You bet.
With an X. There he is with the shirt. Meanwhile, Jeff told us while the commercials were running that he was going to try another change in strategy. He was going to roll on lane 28 his angle ball, and on 27 he's going to use his hammer.
Yeah, I guess the hammer would finish just a little bit harder. Those are tough adjustments, I think, and it might have shown up in his missing those spares too.
Oh, well, he said he's going to have Terry Coolibert shoot his spares.
Well, he made that one rather nicely, the 2-5.
We're going to see that strike that Phil got, and as you said, it was up high. Wow. Did it ever come fast at the end?
No wonder they went down. He had extra speed on that one. All right, let's see what the hammer looks like. Urethane ball, 5-step delivery. Leverage with the left foot, and I thought it was going to work.
Yeah, pretty good mix. He had the 5-7 up there, but the 5 went out. The 7's still there, and he's going to shoot at that spare. Left side of the lane is one he's had trouble on with the spares, although it's 4 pins that he's missed a couple of times.
We mentioned Jeff writes for the Capital Times. He also has a column in the local Bowling Kegler magazine every so often.
And he covered that spare. We'll see that first strike attempt by Jeff and see. Everything seemed to move away from, come on, ball, you can do it.
The other one was much quicker.
Everything seemed to move away from the 7.
His brother might have been right, Hank. There's a double. He made that nose hit pay, and we got a match.
Yeah, Phil got a strike while we're looking at the replay of Jeff. I think that the slow-mo replay machine is grouchy this morning.
It really is. A double here, he takes a lead in the match. I should say a double. He has a double. He'd make it it would make it a turkey. And
ooh, close.
He's had that before. Ooh.
Yeah, if he gets just a little bit high, he leaves that 4-pin.
And you would with the outside angle, because with the angle you have the ball driving a little harder. So you'd think the light hit or the in-between hit might be a little bit better than a heavy hit. At any rate, it's about a 10-pin difference. Jeff's still leading.
Well, Phil's got the spare. So he's got 49 in the second and a spare up in the third. That's exactly the way he started game number 1.
783 is Jeff's high triple. That's not bad. He's had a 300 game we mentioned at age 16. Good. No good.
Well, that 6 went in the channel, tried to lean back, but couldn't take out the 10. We mentioned when we showed you Terry Grosskreitz, our foul line judge this morning, and said that she's been on her honeymoon. Keith Grosskreitz is the new manager here at Red Carpet Regency Lanes. Larry Nowak got a promotion. So Keith takes over, moves from Red Carpet Lanes Waukesha over to here. And we welcome him. We've known Keith for a long time, and he's been on, as a matter of fact, on our Leo Pack squad to the Peterson tournament.
That's right. And I don't know if it's still in effect now, but while we were taping this, Hank made mention that Earl Anthony is retired.
Yeah, just as we're taping this the day before.
the rigors of the Pro Tour got to him.
Well, he's been out there quite a few years, and how many more worlds are there for him to conquer? Not many.
Not many in bowling. No way.
Want to wish him well. Bowling could not have had a better ambassador. Well, we're sounding like he's dead. While he was out in that Pro Tour, the Pro Tour could not have had a better ambassador than Earl Anthony.
I think you'll see him around doing a lot of work for the Ebonite
Watch
Company.
out.
Yeah, he overturned that one
came,
also.
But it came.
It did. Spare bowling looks a little tentative by both bowlers, and Phil leading this game by 13 with a good count. So very, very close for the match. He likes it.
Oh, does he ever?
Not? And now we're going into the Miller fifth frame.
I would say there have been 3 dominant people in the history of the Pro Tour, and we go into the 5th frame of the 3rd game, and that's, of course, Miller time. Bowlers getting strikes in this frame will receive the Sony clock radio from Miller. What I was going to say, I guess you Don Carter, Dick Weber, Earl Anthony, the 3 guys. You're shaking your head no.
I'm shaking my head no, and I'm wondering why you're wondering why. But I'll tell you, Don Carter made his name not too much on the Pro Tour, Hank. Actually, before that, he did well, but he was not a dominating force ever on the Pro Tour, as strange as it may seem.
All right, if you were going to select, now this is all full of controversy. Give me a 5-man team. Would you include those 3?
Definitely, without a doubt.
So now you got 2 more to go. All-time
I think I'd have
five-man
to
team.
put Mark Roth in there, and I just can't answer that so quickly.
Well, I didn't say pros necessarily, so if you threw it open to, there's the clock radio, and it is won by Phil, right?
Exactly.
Or Jeff, rather. I got the wrong one. Yeah, Jeff got it.
Spare for Phil, and what do we got here? 13-pin difference. Phil leading.
Well, we'll come back to that some other time. I'll give you more time to think. But, oh, did you see the 8-10 fall late?
I really did, and that's a double, and what a break. Wow. What a break.
Boy, it looked like they're both there, and they both synchronized swimming. They both went backwards together. I don't know why. Maybe we'll see it here. What Glenn say? We don't have it. Is that what he said? I don't know what he said.
And a strike for Phil.
Well, we got... Not only is a slow-mo machine not working too good this morning, but either Glenn's losing his voice or this thing we got in our ear. I'm not hearing him too well. How about you?
I don't hear him very well either.
Okay, I know he said something.
But at any rate, we've got a match going here. Can he make it?
No.
Crawled a little high. So now leading this game by just a couple pins, and Jeff still working on a double. Still a chance for 600 for Jeff Richgels. And outside chance for Phil to not 600.
Well, you get into the stage where every pin is important, and you don't want a cherry, and that's why he watched it all the way. There was a possibility of taking that front pin, the 3, and not getting the 6, but he got them both.
But, you know, after you get past those 4 bowlers, Dave Davis would be in there. Dick, I should say, Ray
Dick Ritker?
No, not Dick Ritker.
No?
Dick was one of the very best, but not quite that high.
Mm-hmm. We're just talking pros, of course. Wow, he knew that one was there. And that's a turkey. And Terry Coolibert isn't going to say much after that one. Just do it again.
And, of course, among the best amateurs right in our own state, Rich Wonders would qualify.
Well, we're going back to all time. You got to get the Hank Marinos in the net days.
Oh,
huh?
Yeah. I didn't go back that far.
And the Leo Packs.
And the Leo Pack. No way we're going back that far. Oh, that never made it to the head pin, and a tough
Is there
conversion.
one in the back there?
Yes,
I think
there is.
He leaves 4 pins up. Not only a tough conversion, but a bad count on a turkey.
So a 3-pin, yes, and that could be a difference. That put him at a 21-pin lead for the match. 3 this game with a tough spare to contend with. Made it.
Oh, good spare conversion. He needed that. He's got 152 in the 7th, the spare up in the 8th, 129 in the 6th, the spare up in the 7th for Phil. So Jeff is leading. He must be up to about 25, 30 pins now in the match. Whoops. Hello, Phil. He's still in there.
He is, and it looks, I thought he made that spare, unless I'm looking wrong. The scoreboard has him with
Which
a
one?
miss.
The one in the 7th?
Didn't he make that spare?
Sure, he made that spare.
Why does it say 6 and 3 up there? Am I reading that?
We're
Up,
looking,
now he got
we're
it
looking
back.
at the other score.
Error.
The machine.
Got him again. How about this one?
No.
Oh,
That
the death
may have done
blow.
it. Yeah, 9th frame. Had a strike up in the 8th, came right on the bugle with the nose, and that wiped out Phil Frohna. And Dennis Wright, before the match, I'm opening up his selection, picked Jeff Richgels. And so his record moves, does Dennis Wright's, to 8 and 5.
8 and 5 and on a move, and Jeff could still get 600 to keep our string of winners scores intact at 600 or better, but it would take 3 strikes.
Well,
Maybe 1.
no doubt about that one.
Oh, he's working on 212. He needs
See there now,
223.
look at the
Yep.
8th. It had E6. What the E meant that the machine had made an error?
Right.
I guess so.
And for a
But
while,
that's
I was
now
wondering
corrected
if my
itself.
eyes were really that bad, but I thought he made the spare. And how about this one?
Well, look.
All right.
Chance for that 600.
One more for
See,
600.
there was a pin in the back, and the computer couldn't see it because it
Must be.
sits low. See.
That's right.
It didn't notice it back.
You're being very nice to the computer.
We're going to see that last strike by Jeff Richgels.
And look where he releases the ball.
Way over
Oh,
the
it's
left
too
side.
quick to analyze that one.
Oh,
No 600.
I'll tell you what. He's fortunate he didn't throw that one a little earlier. Good time for it, I guess. But he gets a 200 game, and I think that's our first one in the morning.
Yes, it is, and it'll give him a 590 series. As we mentioned, you need one more strike.
Well, he won all 3 games. And the match, which is the most important part of all, of course, because that means he goes on to the second round. Phil here was still alive going into that 9th frame. He had a strike up in the 8th, but that big 4-7-6-10 split. 4-6-7-10 split. He's got a baby one this time. The 2-7.
Phil started out the first 4 frames looking extremely sharp and really started to overturn the ball from about the 6th frame on and struggled most of the morning.
Oops, and he chops. So he finishes with a pair of opens. Gives him a 184 game and a 543 series. So it's 595 to 543, which is a fairly large margin of difference, but it all happened late in game 3. Jeff Richgels, our winner here this morning. We'll be back in a few moments to talk with the bowlers and award them some prize money right after this. The scoreboard shows this morning that Jeff Richgels is the winner. He kept getting better. 184, 193, 218 for 595. Phil Frohna's scores increased each game too. 177, 182, 184 for 543. But it does mean that Keith Grosskreitz, who's the manager here at Red Carpet Regency Lanes, has more money obviously for Jeff than he does for Phil. But before we get around to that, I want to introduce Keith because this is his first week on our show as the new manager here. You saw his bride earlier as our foul line judge, and congratulations for both things, Keith, on getting married and on coming up here to Red Carpet Regency Lanes.
Thank you very much, Hank. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm walking into some big shoes with Larry Nowak leaving. Obvious promotion for both of us, but I'm really happy to be here. Also happy to be married to my lovely bride.
Tell me, does this mean that doesn't mean that you're going to abandon us on our annual trip to the Peterson tournament on the Leo Pack squad, does it?
Oh, no, I can't afford not to miss that.
Okay, you got some money, Keith.
Right. I was thinking the way these guys were throwing these practice balls, I think, or at least I thought that Leo was going to get a little bit tired drawing zeros on these checks because I kind of figured it would be some 700s and maybe a decent shot at 800 the way these guys were bowling. But unfortunately, Phil Frohna, you failed to win a game, but you still get $25 from Red Carpet Lanes. Thanks, Phil. And for Jeff, for winning all 3 matches, check for $200 and good luck in your next match.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Keith. We'll see you next week. We'll get the 2 bowlers in here, and we'll talk to Phil first of all. Phil, you start out that first game, couple of strikes, and like Keith said, wow, we really thought, but then things went downhill. What happened?
Fell apart.
Fell apart. In what way?
I kept on pulling it or not lifting it, and sometimes it'd slide, as you saw the washouts, or I'd, cross. When the cameras came on, that was it.
Did the lane conditions change somewhat during the match?
I don't think so. I think it was just myself. The last few balls of the third game, I was hitting a couple strikes, same line I was shooting in the first game, so it was me.
Well, Dennis had mentioned that your opponent Jeff's really very much involved in bowling. Is it more just recreation for you?
I guess so now. I have to admit that I lucked out when I was qualifying. I had very low 3-game scores, and after that, the last 5 games, I shot 220 average. So I guess I'm stronger on the long run.
Well, we congratulate you on making the show, and we have a check for $350 from Bowling with the Champs to add to the 25, and that brings a smile to your bride's face.
It does. Yes, it does.
Congratulations. I hope you come back in qualifying next year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. And Jeff Richgels here. I want to know, he's a sports writer for the Capital Times over there in Madison. What are you going to write about your appearance here on Bowling with the Champs, Jeff?
Well, my boss did want me to kind of try and write a funny column on this, and there certainly were a lot of laughs the way I shoot spares, but that's just about normal for me, I guess.
What about missing those 2 4-pins? I don't imagine you usually do that.
Well, actually, I probably do. Anybody that knows me would probably say that. First one, I picked up the wrong ball, and if I would have picked up my angle instead of my hammer, I'm sure it would have hooked over there. The second one, I just missed. That happens, but I did get all my 10 pins, so I feel good about that.
Now, in that third game, you were going to 1 ball on one lane and 1 ball on the other. Did you stick with it all the way through?
Yeah, I did, and it almost cost me the whole match, too. That one shot I threw in about think it was the 5th or 6th frame. I almost left at 8-10, and I carried those 2 out of there. If I would have left that, I think I would have given him the lead right there. It would have been a different match. But 27 was hooking so much more, I just had to use the hammer. It hooks a little bit less, and it worked for me, I guess.
Doesn't that really put a load on you, though? You got to remember, hey, on this lane, it does this, and I've got this ball, and doesn't it require a little more mental concentration?
Oh, that's my corner man's duty. He's supposed to tell me to keep thinking and everything. No, it wasn't that big a deal. It was just 1 ball on one lane, 1 ball on the other lane. I was playing the lanes pretty much the same. The hardest choice I had to make was whether to play inside or outside, and I don't know, maybe I should have stayed outside. I'm not sure. That's probably a decision. At least I won. I don't have to worry about it, I guess.
Yeah, you do. When you come back next time, you're going to have to worry whether to play outside or inside.
Well, I guess so. I hope next time I'll be able to make a decision a little earlier, and it'll work better for me. I don't want to shoot 595. I said it was going to be a high-scoring match, and it wasn't. I got to apologize for that. Maybe I'll say low-scoring next time.
Okay, we want to congratulate you on your victory, and we'll look for you back in a few weeks' time.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, we'll let you move out of here and bring in our buddy Dennis Wright. And Dennis, today we had 2 first-timers on the show, but next week we have 2 bowlers with considerable amount of experience.
Well, Bob Kulashewicz from Neenah Menasha, former ABC doubles champion, had good experience, good credentials for our show. Ryan Lever, I think, from Wind Lake. Last year shot 2 680 series. Unfortunately, he lost in the quarterfinals with 687 and been bowling very well since. A good young bowler, well worth tuning in for.
Yeah, so we have 2 with experience. Yeah, Ryan Lever has been kind of making a name for himself in the last couple of years.
Really has. He's bowled a 300 in the finals of one of the regional pro tournaments last year, and he bowls with, the good bowlers all seem to get together. Jeff Richgels and Kulabert, they have that Kendor team, and Ryan right there.
George Vales wanted me to ask you, he says he noticed that it's getting close to Christmas, and he wants to know if you bought his present yet.
Yes, I did. It'd be the same thing as last year, and he can pick it up January 1st at the house.
You're not going to say what it is?
Bag of coal.
Bag of coal. All right, we had a lot of fun here this morning. I want to congratulate, I meant to do it during the show and forgot, Dennis Schechter, another 300 game.
Right, and I was there, Hank, as we're taping. Of course, it was a few weeks ago, but, it was his first 300 in league play. He's had 5 of them in tournament competition, but the first one in league play, I asked him, is it still a thrill? He says, every 300 is exciting and very thrilling.
Well, it's been thrilling for us, folks, and we hope you'll tune in next Sunday morning for another edition of Bowling with the Champs.
Bowling with the Champs has been brought to you in part by Foster Pontiac, South 27th and Loomis. Foster challenges anyone to beat their prices, anyone. And by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of day. Welcome to Miller Time. Now this is Hank Stoddard, along with Dennis Wright, reminding you to tune us in again next Sunday morning at 10:30 for another match between 2 outstanding Wisconsin area bowlers on Channel 4's Bowling with the Champs.